So this panel is gearing for growth, future-ready airports, innovation, efficiency, and ease of transit. We have with us some industry stalwarts who will be a part of this panel. Requesting Mr. Sanjeev Edward from GMR Group to please start this session. Requesting Mr. Manish Agnihotri, Chief Executive Officer, Worldwide Freight Services, to join us. Mr. Murli Ramachandran, President, India and Southeast Asia, Celebi Aviation Holding, to please join us on the dais. Ms. Kiran Jain, CEO, Noida International Airport, please join us, ma'am. And Mr. Suneet Gupta, Senior Vice President, Kale Logistics Solutions, to be a part of this panel. A big round of applause for these industry stalwarts, and I'll hand the panel over to Sanjeev sir to take it forward. Thank you very, very much. I didn't hear the applause. Can I have a big round of applause, please? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And I understand we are very conscious of the time. And, the session, the topic was very interesting. I think this is about, how we're gearing up in future for the airports. But I'm also conscious that if we, you are sitting here with a sense of expectancy that what our distinguished panelists are going to be talking. But that expectant eyes will become hungry eyes because we're sitting between lunch and you. So we'll try to make sure that we're moving fast on this. But I think thank you firstly for we have a great panel over here. And in the context of what we're looking at, if you see India is really on the verge of economic renaissance. We are looking to be the third largest economy by FY28. The Indian aviation industry, we've been hearing since morning. We are in interesting times, 1,100 plus planes on order. The RCS Udan has added about 579 routes, actually, over 85 airports. We are looking at, the Digi Yatra getting launched in 2022. There's a lot of tech coming into aviation as well, the predictive maintenance, we use a lot of it over here. There's big data which is looking at making sense of it all, how do you scan the flight logs, the traffic flows, operational related data, all of that, discovering patterns, using them for passenger experiences, airline services, decision making around operations. And then you've got the airports, which are the green airports and aviation tech over there. Airlines, of course, are continuing to find ways to reduce the carbon footprint and boost fuel efficiency. Airports also are working towards being responsible. I mean, to give you an idea, I mean, that the scale of airports, about the globally about 42,000 odd airports that we have, they occupy about 0.6 million square kilometers, which is equal to the area of a country like France. So that's what the footprint of the airports globally is. They also employ about 6.5 million people, and indirectly another 5.5 indirectly. So there's a lot of activity there happening. It's important that they continue to be responsible and sustainable. India, we are in a good spot because our airports have taken the lead to be, looking at sustainability in a big way. In fact, Delhi Airport got the level 5 accreditation from ACI, which has got the Airport Carbon Accreditation Program. Followed by Bangalore. So I think we are in the right space. But looking at all of that, when we're talking of future-ready airports, I'll first come to you, Manish. When we're looking at, what are the global benchmarks for sustainable airport system? What can be implemented in India as an industry? Out of the 17, the Sustainable Development Goals where UN has. Which are the ones you think we can prioritize to make a bigger impact so that you are building a more responsible aviation industry?
Thank you, Sanjeev, and once again, very good afternoon to everybody. And thanks everyone for this opportunity to be on this very esteemed panel. Thanks to PhD CCI as well. So, as you mentioned, we are standing between a very esteemed audience and their lunch. So, be very quick and come straight to the point. You mentioned something very interesting that about the Sustainable Development Goals that the UN has. There are in total about 17, in fact, and if someone has not seen it, I encourage people to look at it. These are broad goals which, like there is a consensus view with the UN and all the partner nations that they would lead us towards a more sustainable future, which all of us want. So transport and aviation being a part of it is very much a core part. There is a goal number 11 which talks about sustainable human habitat. Sustainable transport is a specifically called out item as to what we can do as airports. So, or the airport ecosystem players is, we have seen in bits and pieces people trying something. You see a press release that somebody has bought electric forklifts, somebody has gone solar. So what's needed is a more structured and a common approach across the ecosystem, not duplicating things, harmonizing our policies, right from the Ministry of Civil Aviation, say mandating use of sustainable fuels that now Kamal touched upon in the previous panel, to having all the ground support equipment that ground handlers and cargo handlers use being sustainably powered through renewable energy sources and also backward integrating with sustainable energy grids. That is on one side. But also what you consume in your every activity. It could be the sheets that you use to tie up a cargo. It could be through, like Suneet is here, making sure the processes are paperless and you consume less. So a truly multifaceted approach is what is needed, and that's truly aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Manish. And as we talk about future-ready airports, I mean, obviously, airports which are greenfield airports built from the scratch have some advantages over there. And Noida Airport, I think it's developing in a big way, Kiran. And well done to you and the team. You see good progress over there. So, just as a question, I mean, what is the advantage you see from being a greenfield airport in terms of having latest access to technology, and what are the specific measures which you are taking for building that great passenger experience, building a great future-ready airport?
No, thank you so much, Sanjeev, for your question, and a good afternoon to everyone in the room. Appreciate you taking the time to be here. So look, the greatest advantage, which is basically the romance of a greenfield airport, is the fact that you actually get to inculcate all this technology, which is latest today, which might not be the best in a week's time, because you know how fast it changes. But at least with all the knowledge you have, you're able to inculcate it into the design. The biggest problem, and again, it's nobody's fault, is just that technology is running at a faster pace than our infrastructure is able to adapt. So it's very difficult for brownfield airports to actually force technology in a manner in which it does not interfere with the customer or the passenger experience. The advantage of a greenfield airport is that you actually design it so that it does not interfere, but at the same time gives you the efficiency of the journey. Now, if you ask me what are the particular things, they're actually quite common and available. All the airports have it, but in the case of our airport, it is actually a part of the flow. So you don't have to go zigzag to figure out that I entered through a biometric, DigiYatra being the main platform basically, your self-baggage drop, your e-gates, etc. Everything is lined in such a way that you're not zigzagging because it's designed to fit into a passenger flow. The biggest, for example, use of technology could actually be with the enablement of 5G. All of us have access to it, but exactly what are you going to do with it? It's the speed of transaction, but whose transaction? It's the transaction of the passenger who's buying any one of your non-aero wares. It's the transaction speed of the airline, which the passenger chooses to check in at a counter. It is all of these things, but they are all based on a very simple technology, which is very much available. So the airports have to be ready to have the right amount of bandwidth. That's why we kill the experience. And one thing, Manish, that I do echo with what you said is we are I believe, trying to do too much. And we're all trying different things. But the fact of the matter is, perfection comes in repetition. So maybe it is time that and again, I'm only going to talk from the airport's perspective, you choose maybe 4 or 5 things. 5 that have to do with passenger enablement and 5 that might have to do with the airline enablement or any other customer. But you have to do them so well that they become so predictable and reliable that they actually become your stalwart quality. You see, that's where we fail. Intention is excellent. Effort is excellent. Where we fail is consistency. So at Noida International Airport, our focus is to be consistent, to consistently be efficient with not everything that is out there in the world, not all the buzzwords that everyone wishes to hear from me, but on those few processes that actually make a difference. And if I put it all together in a few words, it's the speed of transaction. How quickly, how efficiently, how accurately. Everybody wants that. The airlines want it, the passenger wants it, the government wants it. So that is actually the way we are moving forward. Yeah, I mean, that part of the airlines, but I'll say the cargo wants it. And in our case, since you've mentioned it, Cyrus, we are building a very large multimodal cargo hub, simply based on the geography, the location, and the fact that it's greenfield, so we're able to build an integrated terminal. That's our whole plan. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kiran. And we rightly mentioned, I mean, speed of transaction, I think that's the key because time is the rarest commodity now. And if you can get that, I think that's great. Murli, coming to you, I mean, of course, you worked as an organization, you work across the globe, you work on greenfield airports, brownfield airports. So tell us, I mean, as an operator, I mean, you have the benefit of looking at airports very closely. And what are the things like synergies which you think which can happen in efforts and planning to complement what the government is doing along with the airports? There's the Udan, the Bharatmala, the PLI, all that is happening, boosting regional connectivity, building transit hubs. So where do you think that synergy can happen more between the government and the airports and you as operators to kind of for us to get that future ready airports?
So I think talking about airports, I think you spoke about greenfield and brownfield. So I'll just take a minute to, as an investor, what would we pick? I think you've been part of a story of a brownfield airport. We have 4 good airports, big airport gateways in this country, 2 are greenfield, 2 are brownfield, and all of them are great, amazing investments, and probably we have the best airports today from where we stood in the early 2000s. From a pick, if as an investor I was to, I think first of all, I'll just step back a bit to when people in the stakeholder group who were willing to invest into this business. It's a very small, short story actually. It's a 15-year-old story in this country. Aviation, really speaking, in terms of what we see today, what we are proud of, what we talk about, and the world sees is a very short story. And when I say short, 15 is not short, 15 or 18 is not short, but in the context of aviation, which is heading towards becoming probably the 3rd largest comprehensively and is already 3rd largest from a domestic perspective, it's a very short story. So lots has been achieved in the short 15 years, and each one of us sitting here should be proud of that the government stakeholders, the private investors, subsector investors like some of us have played a key role in this transformation that India has seen. So obviously it doesn't happen without a vision from the government that we want to divest. And so I think one key aspect is government is pretty much has seen this fact that government should not be in the business of doing business. So they should let experts come in. They should let people who know the business come in. People who are willing to put money, put their skin in the game, allow them to come in. I think that's very critical, and I think that was seen some time back, and it has been kind of seen through. There's lots to be done still, and as one of the key investors in this sector, we keep looking out for more stuff to come out. So when is Chennai privatizing? When is Calcutta privatizing? When are those cargo setups? One is incidentally up for some element of investment. So as we speak, from an investor's perspective, we have 2 picks. We either look at a brownfield or a greenfield. we don't really discriminate between the two. I would like to get in there, either of the stories. But if I was to look at it from an investor's perspective, what really is the risk-taking appetite? What kind of a transformation are you willing to make? Where do you want to get into? We would pick one of these two, but broadly speaking, a greenfield airport, what Kiran was talking about, would be the greatest, because you can make innovations, you can make a lot of changes. The government has given you a free hand to do what you want. You're not really coming in the way of the passengers. Some challenges with regulatory clearances and all that, which can take time in really getting this project on board. With reference to brownfield, I think one of the things which we got into, like in Delhi, the Delhi Airport Cargo Terminal was a typical example of a brownfield terminal that we got into. We got a ready-made terminal. I think the challenge was not that. Challenge was how do we restructure an operating terminal which was handling close to 550,000 tons of cargo into an active terminal which with minimal inconvenience to the stakeholders, while a competitor was building a greenfield terminal in a year or two. So I think from a government's perspective, they opened up this whole space by allowing the airport operators who exist today in these airports to get into this business. The airport operators decided we need to get experts in this business. We don't want to be doing these things. Let's get the key stakeholders who can add value clearly into this business. That's how people like us came in. I think the next step is the airport is there, money is there, investor is there. How can we make processes which really lead us to, for this sake of this forum, a 10 million tons target? And I think all of us sit here year after year, and I kind of hear what Vipin is saying. I think he's been part of the story for some time now. We talk about a large cargo throughput in this country, talk about transshipment. The 3 million mark, 3.5 million mark has remained pretty much a little minus or plus here. The 10 million looks a little far away. And there are a lot of processes which we need to look at to be able to really get into a big hub that we all dream of. Hopefully we have an airline which can deliver that now. We already had one, now we have another one with a big investor. So that part of the jigsaw is achieved. Airports are there, stakeholders are there. I think now what we need from the government and other stakeholders is to really work together, not go back in time, not get regressive, really move forward with the real intent to be able to bring processes in to be able to achieve the dreams that all of us collectively have of seeing a 10 million and the third largest aviation ecosystem in the world.
Thank you, Murli. I mean, very well put. I think with your experience of having worked, across the country and across greenfield and brownfield, I think process is definitely something very important. And I think there is also a sense of, there was a anxiety turning to optimism now that that things are changing. They are not changing at the pace that we would like to change, but they are changing. I think let's stay optimistic on that. Sunit, coming to you, I mean, there is a lot of innovations for future-ready airports. We keep hearing about biometric systems, IoT, self-service kiosks, robotics, and things like that. And Kiran really touched about something on 5G. But by 2030 we will have a data speed of 1 TB per second. Which is the current is about 10 GB per second. So that's the transition we're looking. But while we say that, even the 5G is not universally rolled out. So I mean, how are we going to be ready in air travel? From and the aviation industry even to adopt 5G globally and move there. So, you are looking at, at the industry from a tech perspective, the solutions that you create, what is going to be the adoption? So can you tell us, we are talking of some generational kind of an upgrade. So how do you think we are positioned to embrace technology going forward in these future-ready airports?
Thanks, Sanjeev. And thanks to all of you who stayed behind to listen to the panel. And thank you to PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. When you put it that way, Sanjay, it evokes a feeling of FOMO, fear of missing out, which is not really the case. Eventually, when technology evolves, everybody get embraced with technology. And as you see, most of the devices and IoT devices that are there at the airport have or are 5G compatible, and they enable data transfer. Data security and safety is critical. So any technology that comes in has to be evaluated on those perspectives. Right now, according to us, we don't feel data transfer speed is that crucial. Maybe it's more important for digitization of air cargo, and I'm from the air cargo business, not passenger, so I'll talk about only the air cargo. So the digitization of air cargo, moving everything on a single platform, right from the point it enters the gate till the time it goes onto the tarmac and onto the belly of the aircraft. All the data seamlessly connected, all the systems seamlessly connected, and I think that is the most important point right now. Having said that, since you talked about 5G, I'd like to bring this up. There is a concept called digital twins. It's essentially being used by organizations that have complex structures and processes. What the digital twin is, essentially it's a virtual representation of an object or a process or a structure. And using real-time data from its physical counterpart, it is able to update itself, and it can, using simulations and machine learning, you can do better planning and decision making. Classic example, in the aviation industry is Airbus Industries. They used digital twin with the Airbus A380, where they, using the real-time data of all the components of the aircraft in flight, they were able to, the engineers were able to look at the behavior of the aircraft, and they were able to trim down or shave a few tons of weight, as well as increase the serviceability or service life of the aircraft. Ports, ocean ports are increasingly using it. I don't see the use of this so far in the air cargo business or the aviation business, but ports are using it. Rotterdam Port has been a very early champion of the digital twin. So an example over there is, when the vessels are moored, they're anchored at the terminal. So there's a rocking and rolling of the ship, right? So using data of the rocking and rolling, combining it with the port data as well as data from weather forecast, they're able to estimate what are the mooring forces, and thereby create conditions that are conducive and safe for continuous operation at the port terminal. These are classic examples, and somehow we don't see so far this taking up in aviation business. For this to happen, 5G, 6G is very critical, because what this means is that all the IoT devices have to be connected in real time and with the lowest level of latency, and giving data to the virtual representation so that the models can be mimicked in real time. Okay? And I think this is a classic case. This is room for improvement for the aviation industry. I don't see this over here. Maybe that's the next step that we'll take.
Great, thanks a lot. I think, we are talking of future-ready airports. There's a lot of technology and things like that, but Kiran, I'll come to you, when people talk of airports, the actual, the flyer or the passenger sitting here saying, let's talk brass tacks. I'm not interested, what technology you use and what on earth you're kind of investing over there. Tell me, sometimes even getting into airports, getting out of airports, there's urban congestion. How is your connectivity? Getting to airport should not be a stress. It should be a very, stress-free experience. So tell us, in terms of, reaching the airport, the experience of, reaching, transiting through. What exactly is Noida Airport doing, in terms of bringing global best practices to ease congestion or, or make that passenger experience better?
See, that's an excellent question, because building an airport essentially is you're building a whole city. It's not just a place where planes come and go. And there's an element of urban planning that is involved here, which basically means it is an element of where the townspeople, the city people, the municipalities have to work with you. Access is actually controlled by them. In the case of most of the private airport investments in India, the airport investor actually invests only in the airport, right? So in the case of Noida, we're very fortunate because we've had a very good and understanding authority. Our authority is actually the Yamuna Expressway Industrial Development Authority, working with us. And connectivity was a big part of our pitch. Now, connectivity is not just roads. Remember, we've spoken about sustainability, we've spoken about leaving this earth a little bit better than we found it, and what all that means is that we need to get off the roads. So what do you need? You need trains. And the advantage for us is, and if anybody's traveled anywhere in Europe, but specifically in Switzerland, in Zurich, I don't need to tell you how that intramodal connectivity happens there, but essentially that is sort of the dream. But how do you make it happen? The first thing is to make sure that you divide the passenger experience separate from what is very essential industrial logistics, trucking experience. And how do you do that? The entire design, again, because it is greenfield, we've been able to create a design where the western side of the airport is entirely for passenger activities, which means that is the access of the Yamuna Expressway, which is only for the passengers. Then, with, again, the help of the government, we've managed to create a northern and a southern end-to-end road, which is for the logistics, for the trucks, etc. They will not interfere with the passenger traffic coming in. They come in completely from the east side. So that is an element of design. And the reason we're able to do it, because it was greenfield. Nothing was there before. You're able to speak with your partners, which is the state of Uttar Pradesh, and get this done. And they have, there's a lot of work going on. If anyone feels like a nice drive, please come and you will see all this road construction other than just the airport construction. Then there is another element, which is the idea of, a rail transportation. How do you make that work? Now, historically, rail is extremely expensive to lay down. India is famous for its railroads. We all know that. The most congested, meaning in terms of the amount of rail line, is actually in this country. And it is a commodity that actually, is what challenges our airlines. We know that. But how do you get it into a new airport? So again, it is with the help of the central government. I'm glad and happy to say that the Rapid Rail Transit System has been approved for our airport, and that will be giving us access to the closer catchments where there's the rapid rail, which will be coming directly into the airport, meaning right in front of the terminal. We also have a corridor that we have already provisioned for what is the rapid rail. Now, the rapid rail is the train that's going to be going from Delhi to Banaras. Our airport will be a stop in that. But we have the ability to provision for these tracks and for these channels in the design today. You see, that is the biggest advantage. So we've been able to do that as well. And then, of course, the extension of the metro. That too is continuing. Now, you're going to ask me, is that going to be there on day one? Day one for us is the end of April. So no, that will not be there on day one. But the most important element, which is all the DPRs and the money getting sanctioned from the cabinet, that has already been done. So that is a huge plus point, and we do look forward to actually bringing an airport to the nation which is truly intermodal in its design and in its action, because the provisioning is all there. And that is very difficult to do when you already have a brownfield airport to work with. So, I hope all of you can come and enjoy that at some point when it all comes alive. So thank you.
Thank you. I have 3 questions each for the panel, and then, we'll take some audience questions. But, if you allow me to make a change to the script with your permission, I think we're running between lunch. So I think we'll take some audience questions, and because I'm conscious that we are close to lunch, yes, Cyrus, please. If you can get a mic.
This is going to be music to our ears. My only question is, what steps has Noida Airport taken to make cargo go digital? Zero paper, no scanning, nothing. A digital airport, cargo digital. Sunit, I know you're laughing because it's a great sales pitch for him. It's a nice sales pitch for you. But Kiran, I'm sure you must have discussed with customs, because everybody, freight forwarders, ground handling, airlines, pure digital cargo airport.
Okay, so I'll tell you from an infra perspective. Cyrus, you were one of the first people I met 5 years ago, okay? So, yeah. So to actually, what do we need to do? We have a chance to do it, right? So how do we do it? And, he was very much a part of that when we sat down and we designed actually how exactly is this multimodal cargo hub going to look. what are the different activities that we need to have in it, and then what are the different processes. So when it comes to the processes, I can tell you that when we did go out with the bid to find the partner, we had very clearly called out some of the things that are basically non-negotiable. If you cannot do it, please do not even apply for this tender. So there were two things, which I'll put them in a big category. One of them was your sense of citizenship, citizenry, sustainability, environmental promise. One was that. I can tell you my parent company is very, very strict on this. So that was one. We need a partner who's going to align with us and make sure that they do whatever it takes to leave, like I love my favorite line, to leave this earth a little bit better. The second thing was technology. Are you going to marry your technology to what platform we are creating at the airport? Because we want to be absolutely transparent with every single partner that we bring to our table, which means who? Everyone from the freight community, the cargo community, airlines, the government, the airport, and most importantly, our nerve center, the AOCC. Everything has to be seen in exactly the same format as you see it, I see it, so that there is no confusion. So once whoever actually passed that is actually how we moved on then further, and then it was, of course, lengthy discussions. So that was the baseline. And now I'll pass it on to you because you're the one who's actually working on it hands-on. So he'll be able to tell you what are the different elements that will be purely digital, paperless, etc.
And then you gave us the task of making it paperless. So yes, I think Noida International Airport from the very beginning developed a clear-cut vision of how to go completely paperless. I mean, not just the fact that they dovetailed into the IATA master operating plan, which starts from the time the exporter-importer is actually booking a shipment or looking for a freight forwarder to book a shipment. They've actually gone a step further, and which actually dovetails into the Kale way of doing air cargo digitization, which is talking about creating logistics e-marketplaces, which is wherein you create a vibrant community of buyers and sellers of logistics service providers, so that you can make sure that unused capacity can be optimized and utilized. Furthermore, within the entire cargo compound, there are various IT systems that are working, and Noida International Airport actually, as an airport, they took the stand that all the systems have to be interconnected and built by one single partner. So right from the time the truck enters the parking slot till the time it goes to the terminal to unload, it's going through maybe 2-3 systems, and all the systems are interconnected. There's a singular flow of data, and all the processes marry into each other.
Great. So I think you've got your answer, Sai. No, you still not got your answer. Okay, I think I would suggest you over lunch you have a conversation with. Yes. I think the simple answer is, are you going paperless? That's the question.
Yes.
Yes. I think that's the assurance you need. Okay, you can have a good lunch now. Okay. Anybody else? Quick questions, just questions, comments, but very short.
Short. Question to Kiran, actually. I am Dr. Diwakar Goyal. I am Chairman, Aero Academy of Aviation Science and Management. You have given a very good planning about the metro connectivity and all. Look at the passenger point of view. GMR is going to grow. They have got future plans. They have got a very giant non-aeronautical revenue. But we look at the Noida International Airport. Whatever way you see from passenger point of view, today Magenta line takes only 30 minutes from Noida to GMR Airport or the IGI Airport. In any case, your airport is not reachable not less than 1.5 hours. Whatever means it is. I can only see the rosy picture for the cargo people that you can have a dedicated freight corridor, which is impossible for GMR Airport to have with the road condition and all. What are the plans to compete with the IG Airport?
You're asking a very provocative question, actually.
I think, first of all, you need to get the word compete with GMR Delhi Airport out of your vocabulary. The idea is never to compete. The idea is to complement. The nation deserves more airports. In fact, We are far, far behind all metro regions in the world that have 2 airports which are functioning extremely well within the same metro region. Our ambition, our dream is to become one of those. It is not to compete. Now, how can we do that, and why have we done that? It's very simple. Just look at the catchment all around you. Look at the passengers. They're traveling 5 hours or so. Look at the aircraft orders which are coming in. You know, and one of the largest, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to digress a little bit. One of the most important elements in having 2 airports in the same metro region has to do with the airspace design. Let us give credit to the Airport Authority of India. You know, other than us, we've all spoken about the ground transportation, the rail transportation. There's something happening up in the skies as well. And that has required a lot of redesign, a lot of approach procedures, SID, STARS, everything has been changed to accommodate 2 airports within the same metro region. And this is just the beginning. Bombay is the same. There'll be other cities as well in the country. So it is never about competing. It is about providing the nation with an airport that is required by the people of the country. That's the bottom line.
Good. You know, the Noida is the newest member in the airport family, so the new kid always gets more attention. So I think we can.
I know, it's like I'm the new kid on the block.
I just need to say Cyrus just went papered last time, by the way. He just tore off his paper.
Okay, good. So I think, I know you all are looking at us very expectantly, and looking in very rapt attention. I'm reminded of a story, there was this preacher who went, who was preaching in a village. And, while he was speaking, started 5 o'clock in the evening, and he kind of went on, the crowd slowly, they dissipated. There was one lady sitting in front, and this guy went on and on, thinking, that at least I have some audience who's willing to listen to me. And he's going on and on, finally he got tired, that lady still didn't leave, So then, after he finished, he asked the lady, how come you're still interested, and while what I was saying. She said, no, I'm not interested. Actually, that carpet you're standing, I have to take it home. So I hope you're not here for other reasons, you're really interested in what the panel has to say, but we thank you for your attention, and some of just to summarize some quick takeaways. I think Murli very rightly said, it's been 15 years, a short story, but I think it's a trailer, it's a teaser. The bigger part of the story is yet to come for aviation in India. If we see, I think that's where we are. There's a consensus that processes need to be something that we need to focus. Technology will be thing, and Kiran, I take your point on consistency. I think that's something that's going to be the key for us. But in case you have any more questions, please feel free over lunch. We are happy to chat. But I'm conscious, that we have to move on, and there are other sessions as well that we need to do. But once again, thank you to Bhavna and the entire PhD team. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I know how busy you've been, but thank you for your support as always. And thank you to the panelists for coming. May I request Dr. Jitendra, sir, to please present mementos on our behalf to the panelists. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your recommendations. We will share them with the minister as he's asked us. So if you can come in the front. Can we have a big round of applause for the panelists? Mr. Manish Agnihotri, Chief Executive Officer, Worldwide Flight Services. Mr. Murli Ramachandran, President, India and Southeast Asia, Celebi Aviation Holding. Ms. Kiran Jain, CEO, Noida International Airport. And Mr. Suneet Gupta, Senior Vice President, Kale Logistics. Can we have a group photograph and a big round of applause again? We're starting lunch. Please join us for lunch outside. And we will start the main air cargo session at 3 o'clock. So short lunch, requesting everyone to have a quick, fast lunch and join us back by 3. Thank you. Thank you very much. So requesting everyone to join us back by 3. Thank you so much.